me this morning. So thank you so much for coming. We are very thankful that you support these endeavors, and we love to have a full house for all of our guest speakers, so I appreciate it. Now, let me introduce. Leon Battle serves as the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships for Florida Baptist Children's Home and One More Child here in Lakeland, where he actually previously worked as Executive Director of Child Hunger and Family Support Services. Did I get that one right? That was a long title. He graduated from Southeastern University with a bachelor's degree in theology and a minor in business, and then continued on to earn his master's degree in human services. He's currently in the process of completing his doctorate, good luck, Mr. Battle, and is writing his dissertation on food insecurity and feeding programs. During his time in ministry, Leon saw the immense trauma that families in the system faced, and chose to change career paths and work for the Department of Children and Families. While working for DCF, Leon helped children get out of abusive homes and helped rescue children from human trafficking. He received multiple recognitions from Governor Rick Scott during his time with DCF. He's very involved in his community and serves as the vice chair of the board for Tri-County Human Services, which provides inpatient, outpatient, and residential care for individuals. Please join me in welcoming Leon Battle.
Thank you so much for coming. Thanks for being here. This is a full room. I'm sure last week you were here for Mayor Mutt, so you're like, man, this series is really good. We got to make it out for the next one, and then now here am I. So it's a big shoes to follow. I love Mayor Mutt. I think one of the most amazing things about him is what you see is what you get. Even before he was mayor, just a man of integrity, a man who cared for his community, and it's amazing to see how he is so involved with the community and nonprofits in our area and getting housing for low-income families. So he's definitely in it for the fight to make sure that everybody here in Lakeland has a good quality of life. I've been at One More Child. We were known as Florida Baptist Children's Home, it's still our parent organization, but we have actually, we're in 50 locations now. We're in 13 countries. And we have 30 locations here nationally. Actually, as soon as I'm done with this lecture, I get in my car and I'll go board a plane and fly to Colombia to work with Venezuelan refugees there. So we do a lot of trips overseas, and we're always taking teams. We do medical mission trips as well. So if you're interested, definitely let me know. But it was kind of weird, you know, being in Uganda and having a campus called Florida Baptist Children's Homes. Like, it just didn't make sense. So we had somewhat of a rebranding with One More Child, and our 6 major focuses are foster care, child hunger, family support services, anti-trafficking, single moms, and our global initiatives. So what I'm going to do, I want to tell you a little bit more about One More Child before we get into the lecture, but I want to go ahead and play this video now just to give you a little bit of a glimpse there.
I had an issue with toxic relationships, and that was my downfall. I ended up becoming a teenage mom at the age of 16, and although I was able to press my way through and even get some college out the way, I still had that haunt me during my college years. From there, I ended up going into getting my master's in counseling, and I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, Skylar. And not only was it difficult, but it was a very high-risk pregnancy. So I dealt with prenatal depression, and then after, postpartum depression, and now I'm a single mother of not 1, but 2 children.
I have a background in finance, and I just wanted to use my skills wherever they would best be utilized. I was meeting with one of the directors of Women in Compassion, and she just said, well, you know, there could be some other opportunities for you to volunteer, maybe working with our Single Moms program. And I said, oh, I would love to do that.
So from the very beginning, when she introduced herself, she had an amazing presence, and I could just tell she really cared. We went through things from budgeting to tips on saving.
She decided to use the instructions and the materials to save and to budget, and she actually has a goal now to get out of the Single Moms program and is looking forward to buying a home.
This home, this home means the world to us. This is more than just a home. This is somewhere we're going to continue to grow our family and grow in God together.
Every day, I get to see the impact that individuals and groups are making on the lives of children and families by simply doing what they love the most. For those that are more on the adventurous side, they love to travel with us globally, to be able to offer nutritional food, and to be able to see the life of a child change because of those resources. Individuals who are moved by deep needs are coming together for our Train, Pray, Serve events, where they're able to affect change for the life of a child that's been victimized by child sex trafficking. Families who love serving right within their own communities are opening up their very own homes to become licensed foster parents for children that have endured past trauma and abuse. And then there are those compassionate businesses and churches that come together to be able to provide daily needs for children and families to be able to stay together and transition to self-sufficiency.
I love to greet people.
I love to drive.
I love to cook. Y me encanta cocinar.
I love to fix things.
We love to sponsor kids. Yes, we do.
I love children. I love gardening. I love to entertain.
I love to take pictures.
I love to travel. I love to decorate. I love to pray.
So the question is, what is it that you love to do the most that can change the life of a child and a family and to be able to offer them eternal hope? When people like Lizette answered that question, they were able to do what they love the most, and the results are incredible.
So that's One More Child. We value the community and community engagement, no matter what your talents are or your skill sets. And that's why I love working with some of our colleges here locally, because we have college students who are working in different degrees. For example, we have nursing students who come and work and do workshops for our working poor families. In our Family Support Systems program, we work with families who are working poor. They're working every day trying to make ends meet, but they're really paycheck to paycheck. And so a lot of them don't really know how to run a budget, or they don't have money in their savings, or they need credit repair. And so for 12 months, we run these workshops, and they come to 3 workshops a month. And we would look at everything from nutrition to parenting classes to even couponing. It's crazy. I met this girl, she was like, yeah, I went to Walmart or Publix the other day, and they paid me $10 and I got all this stuff. And I'm like, every time I go to Publix, I spend at least $100. Even if I'm just going in for toilet paper, it's crazy. And so she's like, let me come and teach some of your families couponing. It can save them money. And so people come in and do couponing classes, all different types of classes, nutrition, health, and it's really helped our families get to self-sufficiency. While they're coming to us, they get food, clothing, household items, diapers, hygiene products. And we have volunteers who are packing that for the families who are coming, who are sorting the food. We have some amazing partners like Publix, who gives us stuff that I only get when it's on BOGO, like their Greenwise chicken and stuff. They give us really high quality meats. We get vegetables from farmers. Walmart e-commerce sends us brand new items. And so we're able to equip our families with that. Our single moms, you saw our single mom there. Our single mom, she over a year, what happens is they come live with us for a year for $60 a month. And during that time, they have to save 30% of their income and 30% of their income tax return. Mom, she saved $14,000 over a year, and she was able to buy her very first home. It was a huge win. And we had people who were matched up as mentors, people who are teaching her finances, and just investing in the lives of our single moms. We have our foster care program where we license foster parents. We also have foster parents come live on our campuses for free if they'll take in the maximum amount of children. But what we've noticed is there is a high rate of turnover when it comes to foster parents. They just get burnt out. They're dealing with these highly traumatized children. They have caseworkers coming in and out of their house. There's just a lot going on. And so people from the community, what we do is we start these foster crews where people wrap around these foster parents, provide babysitting and dinners and just different things. They cheerlead on those foster parents, and we've noticed a higher level of retention for our foster parents. We're actually caring for 10% of the foster children here in Florida, and that number is growing because of the quality of foster parents that we're getting in. What brought me to the organization was our anti-trafficking program. Prior to coming to One More Child, I investigated all the human trafficking cases for Central Florida, along with a couple other people from my team. We work with Homeland Security and FBI and local law enforcement. It's crazy enough, I think sometimes we think that trafficking is happening over there or it's kids coming over here, but many times it's the kids who are right in our communities who are being coerced and manipulated and are falling into the human trafficking rings. And so when I was with the department, we had a guy, Mike Gallen, who had multiple girls that he was taking over to Orlando and Tampa, and we were able to bust him and get those girls to safety. And we had another young woman who was being sold for methamphetamine, and we were able to get her out of that situation. It was the first time that I came in contact with Florida Baptist Children's Homes and One More Child, and brought her there, and it was like a couple weeks later I came to visit her. She was so smart, and she was like skin and bones when I first met her, and she was rubbing her belly, and she said, man, these Baptists can eat. She's like, I've gained 20, 30 pounds now already, and she ended up going and getting her GED. She enrolled in Polk State College and got her degree there. She was working. She had saved money for a car, and it turns out a donor had bought her a car, and so she was able to put that money towards school and towards insurance. Donor got her teeth fixed, and she ended up aging out of One More Child and going out on her own. And she just wrote me recently and said, One More Child changed my life. She says, I just got a job for the Department of Water Conservation. I married the man of my dreams, and I just bought my first home. And so, yeah, I know, right? It was transformation, and sometimes, you know, we get so in tune with behavior modification, but it takes the love of people, the love of God, what I believe, and in order to see a life transformed. And so we have our Safe Home for Human Trafficking Victims, where we have 5 beds, as well as regional advocates who are out working with girls who have been identified, and we do that all across Florida. And we have survivor mentors, so women who have come out of trafficking, who are now in a place where they can do peer-to-peer mentorship with other girls who are in the same situation, as well as we have clinicians who work with those girls. And so we need volunteers for that as well, especially looking across the room with all the different specializations that we have there. And then child hunger, which I'm still over, we are distributing up to about 900,000 pounds of food a month out of our warehouse right here in Lakeland. Last year we provided over 7.4 million meals locally and globally, and we're always getting food out. So we also provide to over 60 organizations right here in the area to ensure that they can do their feeding programs, as well as we have a backpack program where we're sending food home, nutritious food home on the weekends to children in Title I schools. And we have a meal packing program where we pack ingredients into a bag. That way we can get those internationally and locally to feed children. This last year, our impact was 249,044 children and parents. And I believe this year is going to be even greater as we extend what we're doing in our different locations. But with that, we're a very small staff, and so we do rely on volunteerism. Last year was 95,000 hours of volunteer service that we needed statewide in order to do what we were doing. And so just kind of as a close to One More Child, I would love to see you come out. I would love to see you use your talents to impact children. I believe that every child is one caring adult away from being a success story. So that could be you. You could change the trajectory of a child's life by coming and investing in that child, using your talents, using your education to make an impact on those children. And so I would love to see you out. I know there's plans to just have a whole team come out. We have plenty of projects to do. There's lots of different work to do. So please, and I'll definitely make sure that I'm around for when you all come out. But that's One More Child. Before I get to the lecture piece, any questions about One More Child or Florida Baptist Children's Homes?
You guys still have Porch Light?
Yes, so Porch Light is our anti-trafficking and safe home. Yes, sir.
Can I throw you a shout out?
Yes, please. So, yeah.
So prior to retiring, I ran criminal investigations for the sheriff's office, and we would do human trafficking operations. We would get, well, the sheriff would get calls from all over the country. We want to come to your operation, we want to help. No one ever came when we tell them you have to be there at 2 o'clock in the morning, except for his organization.
Oh.
Every human trafficking operation the sheriff's office does, they're there the whole time. Not even DCF comes. His group is always there when we do.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. So this morning we're talking about servant leadership. It's something that at our organization we really value. There's different theories behind leadership, different ways you can lead, but servant leadership is the model that I live by. It's a model where you're looking at the needs of your employees, the needs of your teams, the needs of your volunteers, and you're serving them and equipping them to really do their job, to help push forward the vision and the mission of the organization or the business. It's the idea that if everyone succeeds on your team, you're going to be elevated. That your team's going to be elevated. What you're trying to do is going to be elevated. And so, one of the things I've learned just in different supervisor positions and leading teams is that one, I need to look at myself to see the qualities that I have or that I lack that are important in being a good team player. As well as I need to look at who am I hiring to make sure that they're going to fit in the team and the culture. And that comes down to interviewing and staff that you're promoting to make sure that they are the best fit for those roles. And so it's really changed my life. It's changed the teams that I've led by making sure that I have the right people in the position. So when you think about what makes, just one word, a quality that makes a good team player, what word would you say?
Humble.
Humble, that's great.
Flexible.
Flexible, awesome.
Honest.
Honest, excellent.
Open-minded.
Open-minded, yep.
Integrity.
Integrity is so important, yes. Yes, I believe those are all true, 100%. And has anybody heard of Patrick Lencioni? He's amazing. He has a lot of great books out to check out. But he put forward this just this research about what makes the ideal team player. And he said that it comes down to 3 things. So this part that I'm going to do, it's his work, so it's not my work. So I just want to give credit where credit's due. But he says there's 3 qualities that you should look for when you're hiring, or look for in yourself to make sure that you check off these boxes. And that's that you're humble, you're hungry, and you're smart. And so whether you're hiring or you're looking at yourself, these 3 qualities. And he breaks these 3 qualities down, and he says humbleness is the most important quality. And humbleness is, C.S. Lewis actually said this, that humbleness, being humble is not thinking about yourself, it's not about thinking of less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. So it's making sure that you are that person who pours praise onto other people, that gives credit where credit's due, that lifts up other people, even if you feel like, hey man, I had a really big part in this, and but to look at your team and shine a light on your team, it's such an important thing. And it's, we can look at humbleness, and sometimes we think like being humble is I am just going to kind of sit back and not express my opinions or not push for things. That's not what humble is. That's actually it's not truthful. It's that you're looking at yourself, you're looking at your abilities, and you're looking at how can this help my team, how can this help my organization, how can this help our mission. The other is hungry. Hungry is, hungry people are always looking for more. So hungry people are people that you never have to tell to work harder. They're kind of looking around the corner to see, hey, what are some other gaps that we have, and how can I fill this gap? How can my team fill this gap? How can we make sure that these things are performing to their best of their ability? They're not the people who typically come in right, as the minute is hitting and then leaves as soon as the clock ends, but are those people who are always looking for extra opportunities. And it's not to be confused with workaholics, who are ignoring every part of their life, like their families and other responsibilities for work, but while they're at work, they're making sure that they are working to the best of their ability. Some people can be hungry in a selfish way, and that can be very detrimental to team health. That can more breed selfishness. But when somebody's looking at hunger as how can I help our team, how can I help our organization move forward, that's a huge quality. And then smart. Smart is, when he's talking about smart, he's not talking about what we think about when we think about smart. Like, oh, they had a 4.0 GPA, they have all these degrees, they have all of this experience. But instead, he's talking about emotionally smart. So people who can read a room, they can be in a meeting, and then when they say something, they can read people's faces, they can understand if they've offended someone, or even one thing that I do with my team is I mine for conflict. So as we're talking, we're expressing ideas, you can kind of tell on people's face if they agree with the idea, if they disagree with the idea, or if they're confused by the idea. And I try to bring that out with my different team members. That way we have healthy dialogue. But it's important to be smart and to be able to understand people. And so those are the three markers that he puts: humble, hungry, and smart. And the argument is, when you're looking at an employee, you're not just looking for them to have one of these qualities, but you're actually looking to have all three qualities. Once you can find those three qualities, you're going to have a great team player that's going to be able to integrate right into your team and take off running. So if we were to do a Venn diagram, we had hungry, humble, smart. We want to be right here in the middle. Can you all see that? Is that dark enough? I can't see it. Oh, thank you. And my handwriting is really bad, so excuse that. That is totally fine. And so when you're doing this, it's great to analyze yourself to see if you have these qualities, as well as when you're interviewing, looking at teammates, looking for people for promotions. It's important to look at this also, because many times we'll find people who don't have all three, and sometimes if they just have one or two, it can be detrimental. For example, if you have a person who's just humble, they become a lot more like a pawn. So when they're in a team or when they're with others, they're easily turned in different ways. They don't have that emotional smartness where they can read that room. They don't have that hunger where they're really going to work hard for what they believe and work hard for their goals. They're often not that successful in the things that they're working towards because they're lacking in the other two areas. You also have the people who are just smart. We call those the charmers. Those types of people, they can talk their way through any situation. As they're in a meeting, they're saying all the right words. But when it comes to getting the work done, they don't have that hunger to make it happen, and they're really not that humble either. They're probably like a great person to go to a party with or go to fun events because they're the life of the party, they have the jokes. But if you're going to do a group project, that's going to probably be the person who, and I don't want anybody looking at each other, I see some people. That's going to be the person who is going to say all the right things, but when it comes to getting the work done, they're not going to make it happen. This is one that is very detrimental, is somebody who is just hungry. We call this type of person the bulldozer. They're the person who, they're not emotionally smart, so they don't really care about what's going on with other people. They're not humble or smart, and so they're just pressing towards their goals, and that's it. And they don't care who they run over, what happens in the meantime, as long as they can hit their goal. There may be some jobs that maybe a bulldozer would be good for, maybe some sales jobs, that sort of thing, which I was in sales for a long time. But even when I was in sales and I'd need a bulldozer, many times clients' needs weren't met. It was kind of messy with the clients. You know, either they made the sale, or when they didn't make the sale, they left the customer with a bad taste in their mouth. And so it's important to have all three of those qualities, especially if somebody's leaning, you know, trying to work to help them not just be hungry, but also to see how other people are reacting. And then some people you'll come across, they're going to have just two of the qualities. And so this would be, for example, the person who's both humble and hungry. This person they call the accidental mess maker. So this is the team, the person, they're wicked smart, they're motivated, and they also have really great ideas, but often they end up rubbing other team members the wrong way. They don't have that emotional intelligence, so they're moving forward, they're hungry, they're ready to work. They're also humble, they're thinking about the team as much as they can, but they don't have the ability to read the room or to understand other people's needs. A big thing that I do love, I love the DISC and I love the Enneagrams. I love being able to break those down. If you haven't heard of those, the DISC is the DISC assessment, and it looks at different personality types. And the Enneagram kind of breaks down different personality types and how people feel appreciated, where people get their value from. And I look at that not only for myself, but I also look at that for my team members to see what ways do you need to be appreciated, what ways do you need to be communicated with. I'm a high I in the DISC assessment, which means it's called an influencer, and so I am a visionary. I love to run forward. I love big ideas and big thinking. I am a C is somebody who's concise, so they love numbers and they love digging into the numbers and how things are gonna run. They're very detail oriented. I have some C's on my team, and so I'm always running straight forward with this great vision. And I joke with the C on my team, I'm like, you just love crushing my dreams, don't you? Just in a funny manner. And she's like, you just love to do things without even computing it. And so we go back and forth all of the time. But I've had to learn how to communicate with my employee that's concise, who needs details, who wants to cross every T and dot every I. And to tell you the truth, I need her on my team. Because without it, I'm probably going to run into some deep water and not be prepared. And so just being able to know what she needs has greatly helped our relationship and has greatly helped our team. And so to have the hungry and humble is important, but we also need to be smart so we can continue to make the best of our teams. The next would be your skillful politician. That's the person who's hungry and smart. That's the person who they're ready to work, and they also know other people. They know how other people move and how other people react, but they're not that humble. They're really just looking out for their own interests. So they're that skillful politician who will work a room, they'll work other people in order to get what they want to accomplish. So this can also be very dangerous because it can end up breaking a team or hurting a team because they're manipulating their environment, they're manipulating the team for their own gain. The last one would be the lovable slacker. That is the person who's humble and smart. That is another person probably great to hang out with. You probably want to be best friends with them. They can really, they're not somebody who's always taking credit. They're smart, they know people, but they're not hungry. They're not willing to work. So in a team, in a meeting, they're probably, saying some great things. They're probably making some jokes, making everybody laugh. But their weakness is that they don't have the drive to get the job done. So after that meeting, I'm sure you've been there, all the, this person may even have great ideas, and they're like, yes, let's do that. And then you go to assign the work, because in meetings, right, meetings always create more work. And so you're going out those responsibilities, and this is the person who's probably going to come back next time with some excuses or reasons they were unable to make it happen because they don't have that hunger, that drive. And so when you're interviewing, or even when you're looking at yourself, I'm sure when we were going through some of those, you were probably thinking of people in your life that may not have those qualities or fall into those, but that's not the purpose of this, to label other people. Really, when we're looking at that, we want to look at ourselves to see, what are the areas that we are low in, what areas can I become a better team member in, and then try to elevate those different areas. But what's also important is when we are finding the employees that we're going to put on our teams. How do we do that? Interviewing, I've done lots and lots of interviews. Actually, right now I'm hiring regional directors in Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Miami, and I'm looking for the right person, and I'm being ruthlessly selective with who I hire. They have to be passionate about kids, and they have to have these 3 qualities. And I had learned about this just about a year ago, and so I've really implemented a lot of this into my work. But I was like, how do I do this effectively? How, everybody has been, I'm sure you've been to multiple interviews and they're always the same, right? What is your greatest strength? What's your greatest weakness? And what is it always? The weakness is always a strength, isn't it? People, it's the same, like your greatest weakness is your greatest strength. I get it, that doesn't really help me with what I'm trying to discover. And so we have all, tell me about yourself. We have all of these same questions, and many times we're looking at experience on the resume, right? We're like, okay, well, they've done this, they have this education, so they fit. And if we're just looking at their experience and their skill sets, we're probably not going to get to this, right? It's hard to get to that character. And so a big way that you can, as you step into your field, and I'm sure some of you are already in positions of management, but as you step in and you're building your teams, how do you hire people and how do you promote people with these different qualities? Well, sometimes for me, it's doing non-traditional type interviews. So sometimes it's walking around our campus and looking at different things and seeing how they're interacting with our staff, how they're interacting with our clients, and just kind of walking and talking and bringing up different situations. And maybe there's one CEO, he would go to a breakfast restaurant and he'd get there 15 minutes early. And he would tell the waitress to completely jack up the applicant's order. And so then he would analyze how that, and this person was in customer service, so how that person reacted to their order being messed up. Because it's kind of outside of that normal environment that you typically see somebody in a one-on-one interview. For us, we've done, right now I'm actually doing a 4-process interview with these positions. I interview them first, and then they interview with both myself and the executive vice president of our organization. And then they interview with our staff on those different campuses. And so it's a big circle. And these, my regional directors will be working with CEOs doing strategic partnerships. So then they sit down with our CEO. One of the most recent girls that I was hiring, she did great in the first few interviews, and she got to the CEO interview. She was 18 minutes late.